Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Lemon Yo, CEO of Experience Agency D Flash. Each week, I bring in a different person from business, marketing, entrepreneurship, who's changing the game. And so it's always a fascinating conversation. I'm so excited to have Sophie Shepherd, who's a women's health advocate. We're talking about women's health, how you can actually advocate for yourself, and so much more. Especially in this time of the pandemic, you really want to get good, solid advice about how to be smart about your healthcare. So it's a fascinating conversation. Take a listen. Hey, Sophie.
Hey, Laura, thanks for having me on. I'm super excited to be here today.
Sure. So glad to have you on. How's it going?
Going pretty well. It's a Friday, so definitely looking forward to sleeping in tomorrow and relaxing. How about you?
You actually know what day it is. That's actually good because, we're in the middle of a pandemic and I usually go, it's today or tomorrow or yesterday. I don't actually call the days anymore because it's all so blended together.
I do know the day. I am actually in full force business mode and actually busier than ever during the pandemic. So I am actually still keeping business hours crazily enough.
This is a good thing. So even though we are recording in the middle of a pandemic, the podcast does not change and the first question doesn't change. So, Sophie, what was your first job?
My first job out of college was as a theater production assistant. So I actually was a total theater nerd. I knew I wanted to be a theatrical stage manager from age 15. I changed my career 3 times since then, but at the time I wanted that. And so right out of college, I started working for a nonprofit theater company and stage managing backstage, making all the magic happen.
So you actually had an idea about what you want to do when you were a teenager and then actually went and got the job to do it. What a concept.
Yes, I did. I was a crazy person. And at 14, 15, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a Broadway stage manager. That is what I'm doing with my entire life. And I went to college for it and put a whole resume and all these things together as, a young kid, and did it in high school, did it in college, and then did it for 3 years after college on Broadway and regionally, and then decided to do something else with my life. So yeah.
So you learned how to deal with people. You learned how to be thinking on your feet because obviously stage managing requires, light footsteps to make magic happen. And then you're like, I've done this for a bit. Then what?
Well, I guess I got to see the other side of the grass. The grass is always greener. You have this big dream, and I kind of got there. I got to Broadway, and I saw the people that were where I wanted to be, and I didn't think I liked where their life was going. I kind of, yeah, I know, big bold statement. But basically, in theater, you don't really have that much of a life. You can't. I loved it, but you work on weekends, you work holidays, and it's very unpredictable. So I thought I wanted some stability, and so I actually transitioned my skill set into helping run the production arm of in a global events company. And so I was a production person for that whole organization, helping them manage it, wrangle speakers, headliners, huge stars and VIPs, and making kind of all the production elements, video design work on the big screen for these kind of huge multi-million-dollar events.
And so you do that, and you're like, this is awesome. But then, I'm hanging out with all these celebrities. But then, what happens?
Yeah, but then what happens? Because I'm 30 and I've had 3 careers, right? So what is going on with this girl? So yeah, so I was getting burnt out, to be really honest. I mean, even in events, the pay is better, it's more consistent, and there's a lot of fun to be had there. But I was just really tired. I was working crazy hours, and I was at an event where I will not share the company name, but we were surrounded by the company clientele were a lot of middle-aged white men wearing cowboy hats, chewing tobacco into Diet Coke cans, vomiting on the hotel floor. And so that's who I was around, calling me honey and sweetie, which as a feminist I did not appreciate. I was busting my butt trying to, serve this client. And the speaker got on stage, and it was the key lobbyist for Monsanto. And
this is getting better and better.
Oh yeah, this is a good story. So the key lobbyist for Monsanto gets on stage, and he is the person I'm in charge of. That's like the person for me.
You're handling.
I'm handling this person. I'm getting them coffee. I'm making sure their slides look good. And he basically gets up in front of a bunch of people and says that organic food is not good for you, that it's that pesticides are completely fine, they're safe, that you should use Roundup Ready, use this product. And I looked around the room, and I remember pulling my headset off and turning to the producer and saying, I can't do this. I can't be in here. I need to take a break. And I walked out of the room, went up to my hotel room, pulled out my credit card, and put my entire school tuition for Institute for Integrative Nutrition on a credit card.
Wow.
Yeah. I'd had it. I was like, I have to take a stand. I have to take a bold stand for humanity. At the time, it was just about health and wanting to make a huge change, because I'd been through hell and back with my own health at that time. And I couldn't stand by and watch this be the only voice that was being loud in the room. It just didn't sit right with me. So I decided to put myself through school while working like 60-hour work week and an event planning job until I could start my own company.
And what does it use you now?
So I am, like you said, a women's health advocate, but more specifically, I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. Say that 5 times fast. And a holistic health coach. And I work specifically with women who are struggling with the digestive and hormonal fluctuations that are occurring in, I would say, the young, from 20s to about 40s is usually my clientele. And I run diagnostic testing and comprehensive testing to get to the root level of why things are kind of malfunctioning in the body, and then support them through doing holistic lifestyle changes to up-level their health and really get back to thriving in their businesses, in their personal lives, all of the above.
Wow. And so how does that even work? So I say, hey, Sophie, I get terrible cramps. Help me.
Yes. So basically, I'm really responsible with who comes in to work with me. I have a very limited amount of women I can work with at a certain time, and so I want to be the right fit for the person. So basically, the person would sign up to apply to work with me. We'd have a conversation free of charge. We would kind of go through their health history and see like what came first, what's going on. Is this a good fit? Are you the right fit for my program? And then I work with people over 6 months, and we decide which tests we're going to order that make the most sense based off of their health experience. And then we get those results, we look through them, and it's kind of a self-testing, self-treatment, non-medical, we're not using pharmaceuticals. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to diagnose somebody, but it's more like, okay, this is what we see trending, and this is what we would do from like an herbal perspective or a holistic perspective, and let me help you now implement these changes. And so people come in with PCOS, endometriosis, PMDD, PMS, painful cycles, missing cycles, irregular cycles, bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, you name it, brain fog, fatigue, weight gain. And we just assess where they're at, and we take it step by step. And we use that tool of the testing in combination with some lifestyle hacks that I've been accumulating, many, many hacks, to get them feeling their absolute best. Because in my opinion, our life is short. We only have one body. All we have is our health, and all we have is the time on this earth. And I don't want to spend a single second of it feeling lousy. And I spent way too many years in my 20s feeling absolutely terrible because of what was going on with my digestion and my hormones.
Awesome. And what are some tips that you can kind of give that are kind of general in terms of a women's health? Because I know that like right now, obviously everyone's eating terribly because we're home, eating all the snacks because we're all in quarantine. And obviously there's loads and loads of anxiety, which is, not, which would probably exacerbate your PMS. So what's some of the stuff that you would just say like, hey, here's some things that you can do to like kind of keep your sanity right now?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I know it's really hard, and people are kind of on one end of or the other. They're, either going far off the deep end and having everything that's quote bad for them, and other people are like, I'm going to really dial in my health. So I think the number one thing is just be where you are, ladies. Like there's so much judgment around what we put in our mouth, around the exercise we do, and it can be really isolating and fearful. And I think getting in touch with who you are and what you truly want is like number one. Instead of looking on Instagram or on a blog post about what you should be eating, getting in tune with what actually makes sense for you and leaning in. That is like number one, is becoming in tune with yourself. And the second part of that is, like I always say, I want you to become the CEO of your health. Like, my job is not to have someone be my client for the rest of their life. My job is to help teach them the things that they need so that they can move forward. So with that, being an advocate, if something doesn't feel right, if you're getting a symptom, don't just settle for it to be the way it is. I did that for years. I just thought I was always going to have stomach pains. I was always going to have menstrual cycle issues because I was told that was normal. You're the one that knows your body the best. So believe that and know that, you're not crazy. It's not all in your head. I hear this from women all the time. They're, prescribed an SSRI or something like that when they are really not feeling well and they're trying to advocate for themselves and being told that they're crazy. So I'm here to tell you you're not, that your symptoms are maybe not normal and that you don't have to settle for them. And then as far as like quarantine and all of that, I think one of the best things you can do is just 80-20 that, like you don't have to be 100%. Like, we can identify what our vices are and we can choose to maybe add in some things as opposed to focusing on what we're going to take out. So like, for example, sugar cravings, right? A lot of people have sugar cravings. So what we can do is we can add in healthy fat, healthy proteins, like grass-fed animal protein or healthy fats from avocados, olive oil, things like that. When we add those in, our body hormonally is being told, hey, I'm safe. I have all the nutrients I need. I don't really need something sweet right now. I'm good. I'm not anxious because I've been fueled. So we have to remember that food isn't just something we pop in our mouth. It's actually they're like keys there. It's information for the body, and your body responds to that. So that's really important. I think keeping our blood sugar stable by eating healthy protein, healthy fat, and some good fiber, leafy greens, things like that. And then if you do have a sugar craving, there's so many good like keto or paleo desserts on the web. You can quickly download a couple and have some sweet treats that still provide you nutrient value and kind of keep you going. And then I would say the last thing is just really getting ahead of the stress. There's so many things we can talk about for stress, but honestly, like if we can just take a few minutes to take some deep belly breaths and really breathe into our body and be present with our body and quiet our mind for just a moment, or even just observe what the mind's thinking about. Maybe we journal it out, maybe we dance it out, maybe we sing it out, anything to release that kind of pent up tension that a lot of us are feeling. And that's just the basics. That's the foundation of where to get started. And it's crucial for all of us, women, men, kids. It's the foundation of health.
Awesome. And I think so necessary that people kind of understand that, like, moderation is key, but also like finding ways to not be so stressed, but also giving yourself the grace to be stressed, because like it's understandable that you are.
Absolutely. I mean, you just have to be where you are. I mean, we spend so much energy trying to change those situations, trying to change where we are, trying to change who we are. And there's a lot of energy getting pushed at something that might not need to really change, right? We are where we are from day to day, and there's certainly tools that we can implement to support our body. I'm someone who's definitely more prone to anxiety. So I work on stress often. And some of the things that I've been doing have been like dancing, literally putting on my favorite music and just dancing like a 5-year-old, dancing like I don't care who sees
Okay,
me.
what's your song?
Okay, well, for singing, I like anything Sarah Bareilles. Anything Sarah Bareilles, I love. For
Okay.
dancing, let's see. I have this playlist that my friend Juliet put together for me. I'm not even sure what's on it. I just like it. Let's see. I'm gonna pull it up on my Spotify just to see what she sent me. I've been loving that. She called it Best Vibes. There's the Waka Waka from Shakira, obviously. Higher Love, that remix, and the Castle on the Hill Throttle remix from Ed Sheeran is also like on that. Definitely jam into that. But really like anything, right? Like just have fun with it. I've also been coloring a lot. I've been doing a lot of coloring. That's been really helping.
Awesome. No, I think
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It's like, how do you figure out what are the things that you can help you take your anxiety down? Because obviously this is scary in terms of the time that we're living in.
Yeah.
And, the best we can do is the best we can do, and not freak out about the fact that, things aren't perfect. And if you're sleeping in one day, then you're just going to sleep in today. And that's just going to be the day you're going to sleep in. That's it. Full stop.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I try to allow myself that grace now that I do work for myself. I think it's a little bit easier and I try to build that in. And I mean, that's also if you are a woman that, you're a menstruating female and you're listening to this, like, we change throughout the month. So it is really important to listen to that as women, because we are different hormonally, and that impacts our anxiety. It impacts our sleep. It impacts what we eat. So for example, if you are in the first half of your cycle, you're going to have more energy. You might be able to sleep less. You might be able to skip a meal and be okay even. But then towards like when you're about to get your period, you might need, more nutrients. You might need more sleep. And that's okay, but really getting in touch with your body in that way, tracking that can be so helpful, because then you don't feel like a crazy person. You're just like, oh, right, that's my hormones. Okay, I'm going to lean into that.
Yeah, I think folks need to just kind of feel like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can adjust your self-care around that, right? Even your exercise around that. And that's some of the stuff that I get to teach my clients when I work with them long term.
Awesome. So once folks are done with you after like a program with you for like after 6 months, are they able to kind of do things on their own? Do they pop back? What's been your response?
Yeah, most of them can do things on their own. There's an occasional case where someone has something more serious going on, like mold or heavy metals or something like that, where the detox process is longer. But for the most part, people can go out on their own. It is interesting to look at someone's genetics and see what the long-term support can be. So I try to offer that in the program as well, so that they know what they can do on their own. And then the other thing is, I just posted about this, it is always great to do maintenance. So, I am someone who is prone to digestive issues. So I check in. I do a test every year to see what's going on with my gut. And there are certain people that I think can benefit from that. And certainly clients really like that ability to kind of come back, get checked out, see how they're doing, and kind of tweak and adjust, because we do change. I mean, we change throughout our lives. So there's always that option. And then I am working on kind of a group program as well in the next three months that would launch, so that people kind of have access like that as well for their outstanding questions. Because I think that's the other thing, is we tend to use Dr. Google a lot to figure out what's going on. And that can lead to a lot of confusion and a lot of choices being made based off of the masses versus based off of the woman. And that's where I see a lot of women get tripped up. It's like, well, I've tried keto, I've tried paleo, I'm not losing any weight. Like something must be wrong with me. It's just like my willpower is off. And, that is, that's a pretty toxic way to go about it. And so there are reasons why things work for specific individual woman. And I think that's what's really perfect is advocating and learning the things that work best for you so that you can be healthy and thriving throughout your life.
Awesome. And thinking about thriving throughout your life, what do you think you'd tell 21-year-old Sophie?
Oh my gosh. Great question. Oh man, 21-year-old Sophie. 21-year-old Sophie, take a second before you move in with your boyfriend. 21-year-old Sophie, you are stronger and smarter than you think, and you can find your voice, and you don't have to quiet yourself. And 21-year-old Sophie, I think I would do what I did do, which was I didn't get answers, the ones that I wanted when I was 22 and when I was so sick. And so I did fight, and I kept searching for the right doctor, the right functional person to listen to me, and help me so that I could get justification for why I felt so terrible. And that, it's not in my head. I wasn't crazy. There was plenty of stuff wrong with me, but it wasn't just me being, oversensitive. So yeah, just be an advocate, being stronger, and, finding my voice. I think that's what I would probably tell myself.
Awesome. And just so folks understand, what is functional medicine?
Oh, great question. So just to clarify, I'm not a doctor, so I do functional nutrition, but functional medicine is kind of looking for the root cause of an issue instead of potentially like putting a Band-Aid on it, which is what a lot of people say. So for example, if you went to a doctor because you were having a lot of like migraines or headaches, right? Their approach might be to run some tests, and if they couldn't find something, maybe there's a migraine medication out there that you can take because you have the symptom, so we're going to like treat that symptom. In functional medicine and in functional nutrition, we ask the question, why do you have the migraine? What is triggering that to happen? Let's search there so that we can optimize your overall health. And I think that's the other difference is that specifically when we're looking at lab reference ranges, we like the person to, I always say, I want my clients to feel like they're at an A+ with their health, as opposed to like a B-, because, we always just feel better when we have an A+. So with functional medicine and functional nutrition, we look for optimal results on labs, and that's our goal, is to help people get there to that optimal place.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
That make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool.
It's not about the drugs.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that there's always time and space for a fusion, right? Like I was on thyroid medication, and I was supporting my body with nutrition and lifestyle. It doesn't always have to be one or the other. There's a time and a place for both. And I interviewed Dr. Adam Perlman on my radio show a few weeks ago, and I love what he said. He said, I want to make functional medicine go out of business because I just want it to be medicine. I just want it to be,
right.
I just want it to be about good care for the person, and we kind of fuse both, and so that the person really feels like they're taken care of, and that they have a full care team and a whole full care kind of program to support them. So I'm always an advocate of, talking to your doctor for sure. Sometimes the medication can really help. And, but then, the person can decide how they want to support their body too through, nutrition and diet and lifestyle shifts as well.
Awesome. So cool. So you're helping all these wonderful women and get to the best functional health side. How do you manage your self-care, especially in this really wacky time of the pandemic?
Yeah. Yep. So I've actually been I love my business coach. She said to me, the more work you have to do, the more self-care you have to do. And that really, really stuck with me. I mean, I have to walk my talk too, so it's not something I'm great at, to be really honest, Laura. I'm working on it.
I know. Same here.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me during pandemic, the things that I'm working on is I'm trying to eat a healthful diet. So I'm trying to eat that protein, fiber, and fat at every meal. and trying to space my meals out so that I don't get hangry.
And very important.
Yes. So I'm trying to really do that. I'm trying to limit the amount of caffeine that I'm having. I'm trying to limit the amount of sugar I'm having. Those are big things for me personally. And then, yeah, I'm supporting myself with some supplements as well. So a multivitamin, a B vitamin, and some omega-3s and a probiotic. I'm trying to do meditation in the morning. So even if it's just 5-10 minutes of listening to Deepak Chopra's amazing calming voice, I'll do that. Or this morning I did go for a bike ride. So just trying to get little moments of time away from others to think about what I want from my day and what I need from my day. And the other thing that I've been doing is I've been trying to do a nightly closeout. So I've been basically trying to look at all the wins I had for the day.
Nice.
Yeah, big, small, and then observations. And so that I can say like, oh, you know what, that's not really working, or this is working great, or I need help with this. And then the last thing that I'm super excited about is I'm actually hiring. So I basically about a week ago said, all right, I need some help so I can get that self-care. I need someone to take some of the load. So I am offloading some of my work, which is pretty scary, to another person to help me with, so that I can stop working at 6 o'clock and I can get into bed at a good time, and I can make good nutritious food for myself, and I can meditate, and all those things I need to do to take care of myself.
Awesome. Knowing when to hire, because you can actually offload, is such a tricky thing, and it's so nice to hear that you figured out when you were at your end of the rope, like, okay, we're good here.
Yeah. And, I'm investing with a personal trainer. I think that's a big thing, is investing in the right people to support you and hold you accountable. Like we all need, we all need that support in some form. So I think investing back in myself, right? Investing back in myself, investing back in my business, so that I can take care of myself is really, really important. And that's something that I learned, 8 years ago when I invested in functional medicine was, it wasn't covered by insurance. And that was really scary to me, but I knew I needed to make a change and dive in with my health and put it as number one, because that is all I have is my health. I can make more money, but the one thing I can't get back is my health and my time. So that's the way I operate now.
Awesome. And so very true. So one question where I'm asking all of our guests during this wacky little time we'll call the pandemic is if you've got a give and or an ask for the audience. So Sophie, do you have a give or an ask for the audience?
Sure. Yes. My give is if you have a question about your health, please message me. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm at She Talks Health. I'm happy to answer your questions. And also a give would be if you do feel aligned and ready to take your health to the next level. I do give 90-minute consultations that are free of charge. And that's for someone who's a woman who's serious about taking her health to the next level. Yeah, I mean, I think those would be really good gives. I have a lot of affiliates and like discounts and things like that. So if you do follow me, hopefully that would also be a give, is that you get discounts
Nice.
on things. And I have a blog and things like that. So there's a lot of free resources for you as well. But I want to be of service. So that's a give. And I guess I also have a Facebook group too that's free, and that's a really nice resource too. So lots of gives, I guess.
Awesome. That's so good. So we'll throw all the links in the show notes so that folks can reach out to you and follow you and hopefully DM you with their questions.
Cool.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for offering that up.
Yeah. I guess my only ask would be, I do have a new radio show. And so it's kind of a give and an ask. It gives a lot to you because it's amazing experts covering all these different topics we kind of talked about today, Laura. And but my ask would be, if you like it, to leave a 5-star review or comments or anything like that, so that more women can get access to this information, worldwide. That's my ask.
That's awesome. So we will absolutely throw a link for the radio show on there as awesome, and folks can check it out and hopefully
Thank
leave a
you.
5-star review. Of course. Oh,
Yay.
so Sophie, it's been such a delight to have you on the show. It was chock full of great information that folks I'm sure will enjoy and need. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It was really lovely to chat with you this Friday.
Awesome. And that is our show.